Welcome to the Athletic Dad Podcast, where fitness and fatherhood meet. I'm your host, CT, and I'm joined alongside with Colin Fiesbeck for my first in-person podcast, which is awesome to be able to do it with you. The goal of this podcast for everybody listening is for me, as a new father with a father of a daughter who's 19 months old, is I want to talk to dads who have much more fatherly experience than I do to try to learn as much as possible as I can through this process about being a father and becoming the father that I'm proud to be. And I also, because fitness is a passion of mine and an identity of mine, is I want to talk to people who have experience in the strength and conditioning and fitness field and people who are on a fitness journey. And what's really exciting is you are on a fitness journey yourself. So before we get into that conversation, I want you to introduce yourself for the people who are listening who aren't in our family, don't know you well.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then also tell us about your family and your kids.
Yeah. So I am married to CT's sister, Jackie. My name is Colin, but I have one else. So we joke around a lot that I'm the other Colin, but it's been a lot easier for us just to use CG for my middle name, Gregory. So CT and CG. So we have figured that out as the years went on, but it makes things a lot easier. But yeah, we've been married. This will be 20 years in October.
20 years?
20
That's
years
crazy.
coming up in October.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So yeah, we got 3 kids. We got our 16-year-old is Tyden, who will be a junior in high school next year. And then we have a 13-year-old Berkeley who is will be an 8th grader. And then our little man of the family, Colston, who is 6 years old and going into 1st grade. So we're busy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's start with your personal fitness journey. You've had times of your life where you've been incredibly dedicated to fitness and doing marathons and half marathons and 5Ks and running a ton. And then you've had times where you haven't done as much. And then now you're on this journey to become an athletic dad.
Yeah.
Talk me through some of the things early on that were successful, some of the things that were difficult, and then ultimately where we're at now in the process.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I had no problem being in athletics. I loved it. It was part of my life. Baseball, basketball, tennis later in high school. I just wanted to do it all kind of. I tried football. It didn't work out too well, but I kind of just liked it all. And, as you go through, you get out of high school, you get into college, those opportunities for varsity type stuff isn't always there, but there's plenty of other opportunities in college, whether it's intramurals or just playing with your buddies at the gym. So really through college, I had no problem with any kind of commitment to being active and playing in sports and staying active. And then when college got out, I can't even remember what happened, but because I didn't ever really like running. I was never on track team. I definitely didn't do cross country, but I just got into running, and that was my new way of being active without a ball or rules or games. That was my norm. When I needed a change of, balance in my life, I would go out for a run. I would make sure I got that in. That turned into 5 and 10Ks, and then eventually turned into a bunch of half marathons, which we have the best one in the world here in Indianapolis in May for the Indy 500. So that was a staple every year for 12, 15 years in a row. And then I would add a couple of those each other year. The Monumental was in November, so that was kind of halfway past the mini marathon for May, but I would add a couple of those. And then my crazy buddy who ran with me was doing marathons. He did Chicago, he did New York, he did one other one, but he generally went back and forth of those and talked me into doing a marathon, which to this day, I have no idea how I did that. I have no idea how I pushed my body to that max. That was in 2016, I believe, 2016, I believe, in the Chicago Marathon. So the training that took, the time that took, I can't even imagine trying to do that again, but I know I did it.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility. You just got to be dedicated, which I was. But since then, I've ran here and there. Hate to reference COVID, but that stupid time where we all were put indoors, and, it made for a very easy excuse to get lazy, to become less active, develop other habits that you wouldn't generally do. So that's pretty much when my fitness started slowing down. So 2020, added another kid in the mix the same year. So now we're at 3 kids, kind of sitting through COVID, trying to get through that. And I got back into running a little bit, but I just needed something. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So needed to do something. So luckily, I have a family member who does this for a living and has come up with this athletic dad agenda. And it's It's awesome. I'm just started a little over a month ago and I'm in it.
Awesome. People who are experiencing some of the same difficulties where they have been dedicated and shown that they were capable of being dedicated to things and then have kind of found themselves in a rut. What are some things that have helped you to be able to get out of that? Maybe if it's a mindset shift or it's a little piece of advice that you could give those individuals who are sitting there listening to this thinking, that's me, but I'm in that right now and I need some help and I want to get out. What are some things that you know from your experience that might help them kind of get started?
First thing I think of is you got to have support. You got to have, I'm married to my wife who's in the gym 5 days a week doing her thing. She was a college athlete, so she's wanted to maintain that level of activity. She's gotten older and is doing an amazing job with 3 kids and me. So I have more than an amazing amount of support from her because she wants to see me happy. She wants me to get back feeling the way that she knows I felt before, early in our marriage, before kids. So the support, having people in your corner that tell you to do it and not just you're on your own, like you can do this type of thing. So that was probably the first thing that struck me as like, I know I can do this because she's going to be on me about it. She's, we're all in this. It's like, you're a family. So it's like, we're going to do this. So support is definitely the first thing. And the second thing is, honestly, it's probably like a career too. Like if you're ever thinking about doing a different career, at some point you just got to jump. You just got to go. There's going to be things that tell you, your mind telling you that it may not work. It may be a failure. And I've been bad at that my whole life. Like I've been scared to take risks at times. So I think building up to this, I was like, man, what if I start doing this? I really don't like it. My brother-in-law's in charge of it. I'm going to see him the rest of my life and I'm just going to look like this complete failure. Like what's this going to look? This could be really bad. So making that jump and being confident in yourself and know that you got nothing to lose. So the support and just telling yourself you just do it. Don't stop thinking and you just do it. And then finally, just you got to change your calendar around. I mean, you may have to move some things have been a staple for you the last 6 years since kind of felt like my level has went off. Like I feel like my priorities got out of whack. So yeah, you gotta make time. And that's hard with kids. So that's a big difference. And when you don't have kids versus have kids, you got this, that, you got to be here, you got to be there, pick up this, drop off that, and then that leaves this little extra time. What are you going to do? Is that your time? You're just going to go hide in the corner and just take some breaths? Or are you going to go do something else beneficial? So I've had to do that. So, and you always feel better after you do it. You never regret. I'm not a morning gym person. Jack, my wife is. Every morning, 5 a.m., she's in a class. Like if I was to do that, I would be so grumpy when I got to that place. But when I walk out of there at 6, I may still be a little tired, but you would never regret it. It's nothing you ever regret. Right. So that makes it easier when you finish something and you don't have any regrets about it. It was great. Then it's good for you.
My background of college and professional sports, always ingrained discipline. It was the grind. It was, like you said, getting up super early and pushing yourself to the limit or staying up late and doing whatever you needed to do to reach that point, which you learn when you're pursuing fitness for long enough. There's never a goal.
Right.
The goal is to not win the game, but stay in the game.
Yeah.
And I remember preaching that for years. And weeks after my daughter was born, I realized that is such a bad piece of advice for people. Because when you become a dad, all of your personal pursuits get pushed down to the bottom of the priority list. And,
sure.
And the thing that you care about the most is taking care of your children and taking care of your wife and your partner and your family. And I quickly realized 19 months ago that this no longer is how I want to speak about fitness. Yeah. And it's not a grind mentality. It's not wake up at 4 a.m. to get after it because you're tougher than the next guy. And it really is just finding time in your schedule to create time for yourself. Because what I've recognized is the more I put into my fitness and focus on how I'm feeling, the better I show up as a father.
Sure.
And I was in the car just an hour ago with your oldest son, my nephew, and I said, your dad's doing great. And he said, I'm so proud of him. And that was so cool for me to hear. And I wonder if you think at all during this process, how your kids see you as you are pursuing becoming the best version of yourself? Is that something that you think about constantly when it comes to your personal pursuits, how your kids see you showing up?
Yeah, I think recently, especially in the last, I don't know, say a couple years, I feel like there's times where, they're working their butts off in school and their activities that we're taking them to and encouraging them to do this, do that, do better. And then I find myself just sitting around the house, and when I could be out doing something else, I'll go lay down and take a nap. So I think it got to the point where it's like, there's other stuff I can be doing. They're seeing this, even with screens. Like Jackie and I, that's our biggest battle is screen time. But here we are on our screens.
Yeah.
So it's like we're telling them our expectations, but they are seeing us not even follow through with those ourselves. So we're guilty, Yeah. So I think screen is just one example of we want to set an example for them so they see what that looks like, because otherwise it's just going to be, well, you do this, you do that. So it's no different in physical activity. Like if I need Ty to leave his bedroom because he's been up there playing video games for a while, but I'm laying down on the couch and I tell him to get up and do something. That's not fair. So I think the last month and a half since I've started this, getting him to his track stuff, taking him and, or Colston to the playground and stuff, like knowing that I've already done something that day or been physically active, like you said, I'm already in a better mood. Like it doesn't make me feel like I'm just sitting there watching them because I have to be a dad. Like I feel like I've already done my workout for the morning. My mind is set, and it's been more enjoyable to actually be around them when they're doing their activities because I know that I've already got one in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just kind of got to the point where I didn't feel like I was setting a very good example, and having 3 kids that are such age difference from 6 to 16, I kind of see where my oldest is now. I think, some of the things that he's seen me do or not do. And I have the chance with Colston, our youngest, to correct those things in the next 10 years when he gets to be 16. Like I can do it different. So that's one of the nice things about having multiple kids that are spread out age-wise is you learn and you go. So I expect some of those things to be different as Colston gets older.
Yeah, we're always trying to do our best.
Sure.
And sometimes it takes falling on your face a couple times to be able to learn that. And then you've been blessed with an incredible opportunity to have more opportunities to be able to make those changes,
right?
Which is cool to be able to recognize, probably hard in the moment, but cool to be able to recognize and actually act on those things. Take me back, if you can, 16 years ago to a day I'll never forget, when your first son was born. If you could talk to that CG, what are some things that you would like to tell him to prepare him for the journey that was going to become fatherhood?
Buckle up. I mean, that was because obviously having number 2 and number 3, you kind of already been through what that is. But that day itself, boy, it was just a lot of uncertainty, like not knowing how it was going to go, not, witnessing a birth of a human being, and that human being is there for good. It's not like you're doing something for the first time and then tomorrow you're going to be doing something. They're still there, and you got to figure it out. So I think it was a lot of just Jackie and I have always we are very opposite on certain things, but they do say opposite attract. Like she knows how to calm me down when I get too worked up. I do my best, vice versa with her. But we've always had that balance of we know when each other needs something. So I think once Titan was born, we both knew it was going to be a wild ride to start. The nights, the lack of sleep, and being a dad, you don't always know what you can do because there's certain things you can't do. So, I mean, her patience through all that when I was, trying to figure out something else I could be able to do to help, it just makes everything so much easier when you have a partner that's right there with you. And I know it's not like that for everybody, so I'm blessed. But it started out very new, but we took it one day at a time. And then, here we are 16 years later. He drove you around today, which the first time you ever rode with him.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here talking 16 years ago when he was born. So it has been from that now to have 2 other kids has been just amazing to see what you learned the first one. Maybe you don't learn something, but you sure learn it with the second one. And then the third. I mean, it's just they're all blessings, and you learn from each of them.
Yeah. I got to a few hours ago, go to the track with you and him and do some speed training and talk to him about something that he's been incredibly engaged in and incredibly successful in, which is, running the 400-meter dash. He did incredibly well, ran in state this year as a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
Has just dropped, 6 seconds in one season and ran a 50-second 400-meter, and so impressive. And so we got to train out there for a little bit, and then we got home, and I FaceTimed my wife, and I was talking to her and our daughter, and she said, "How was it?" And I said, "I've been dreaming of this moment for 16 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it every time we were together, but I remember thinking when he was born, when I was holding him when he was born, thinking like, how cool is this going to be in the future to be able to share information that I have, even as an uncle before I was a father, and to be able to do that and how fun that was." And then I kind of reflect on just the journey of being able to be so close, demographically close for a long time, and then have since moved, only 4 hours away. So still have the opportunity to be around him, but to be able to watch all the kids grow up has just been incredibly exciting, and to see the phases they've gone to and through. And something your wife talks about all the time is how every phase is her favorite phase that they've gone through. And then I'm looking on the phone at my 19-month-old thinking that she's going to be 16 years old at some point. I can't even, I literally can't even wrap my brain around that process, around the thought process that happens. So I want to know, what's the toughest part about watching your children grow up and become their own individuals? What is that like?
Yeah. I think one advantage that Jackie and I both have is that we've been in education our whole life. So I've been in the middle school my 19 years going into 20 years. And I know kind of what that age range goes through. I've seen it all. So I think having that idea of that time, so say 10, 11 through 14 or 15, kind of that process. But yeah, I know it goes way too fast. There's times that feel like they're crawling and you're never going to get through to the next phase, or like they'll develop a bad habit, whatever that is. And at a young age, and Jackie's like, do we look into getting help on this and this? I think it's just a stage. It's just a stage they're going to go through. And then sure enough, they're on to the next thing and they're out of that stage. And obviously Ty was the first one to go through that. So for those first X number of years, it was every day was a new day. Every age was new. We didn't know what to expect other than talking to other family and friends that had kids in that age. But as we've gone through with our others now, we kind of know what those milestone things, what's going to happen, kind of what can happen next. But right now is a really wild ride with a teenager. So that's been challenging. I will say, going back to you riding with him after working out in this track season he's had, I'm unbelievably proud of him. He had some time, we live in a school district that is very demanding. Huge schools and the huge number of kids at the school. You have to be really good at what you're doing athletically to be a part of a school team. So, he loves basketball. He's played basketball since he was, 5 or 6 years old at the YMCA. Did he put every day, 365 days a year into practicing basketball up until high school to make the team? No. He had other things he liked to do. He played football. He tried baseball. Did the whole soccer thing as a kid. I never wanted to be that dad was like, you need to do this full time to be able to be successful at it. I just wanted them to figure it out. That's how I was. I loved so many sports. I did not want to just be limited to one. But going back to what I was saying, he had a hard time with that, knowing that he probably wouldn't be on, he went through a lot of injuries in football early on, wasn't growing as much as he wanted to grow. So the injury scares were still there. Had a lot of people ahead of him at his position. He had to make the choice. I need to find something else. Basketball, same way, a lot of crazy good talent up here. And, when you think of wanting to do those fun sports, but then all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess I'll try something where I run. That doesn't sound very fun and exciting, which he definitely did not want to do early on. It was like, this is stupid. I don't want to go run. But to see the last probably 5 to 6 months, everything that he does that is a little better than the time before, how excited he is now to do it. And he knows stuff is paying off finally. It's been for Jackie and I, because he was having a really tough time with school, relationship stuff, to see him have success in these last 6 months, incredibly proud of him. I can't wait to see what the last couple of years of high school do. He's in it now. He is full throttle into it. So just wanted to say that, I can't be more proud of him for that. Yeah. But teenage years, man, they are wild. I can't, and at some point, this is what I do at school too. I'll get mad at somebody at school, like at one of my 7th graders. for like doing something so just stupid. Like, why would you do that? And I'll get mad. I'll raise my voice. I'll yell. And then I will literally sit there or walk away and I'll be like, I did that when I was a kid. So all the stuff we're seeing, whether it's my students or Titan, to this middle ages here, like it's all normal. You can get frustrated on it, but it's just part of the transition. Like it's part of adolescence, growing up. Like it's just, you learn. So discouraging, but when you think back to when we were kids and doing the exact same thing, it makes it take that deep breath and realize, okay, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And we want them to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to be perfect. You want them to make mistakes, and you want them to learn from it. You want them to come back and in this same situation or a similar situation, make a better decision because they've learned from the mistake. But that's a hard thing to do as a parent, is to know that what they're going through is difficult and not immediately reaching out and saving them, because that's not how you learned your lesson in that same situation.
Yeah, and now you add the element of driving one of the most dangerous pieces of equipment around roads, and you want them to learn, but you don't want it to be like, root for something like that to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah.
2 boys and a daughter. And I remember when my wife got pregnant and people started asking, hey, you want a boy or a girl? What do you think? And I always, from day one, I said, I think what I need is a daughter. I have an ego. I have a background in lifting heavy weight, trying to knock people's heads off, being aggressive, not having anybody care how hard you work. You can always work harder.
Yeah.
Right. This thing that is ingrained in you in team sports. And I remember thinking I have so much to learn about empathy and love and truly understanding what caring about a human being is. And I remember saying multiple times, and I mean, meditating on this thought over and over again, that I think I will be blessed with a girl because that's what God knows that I need to continue to help me progress and become the person who I ultimately need to become. And so you had fathered a son, and I always said, I know how to father a son. Do more push-ups, go out and run more, be harder, eat more protein. But it's not like that.
Yeah.
When you have a baby girl. So what was the difference when Berkeley was born to what you did to father a daughter compared to fathering a son?
Yeah, I think it would have been, so Titan was first, we had no preferences. We didn't even want to find out. We just wanted that's the coolest surprise you can ever even imagine. Like, you don't know until you literally know, like, so first off, that was one thing that Jackie and I totally agreed on, and we would never change our mind. We will not be having any more kids, but if we were, then that would be the exact same way. But I do wonder at times, if I would have had a girl first, what that difference would have been. When Titan was born, we obviously had already had him, and then Berkeley, Ty was right there after she was born. And it was almost as cool as it was for us to now have a daughter. It was, our eyes were like attached to Titan, and kind of see how that relationship started right away, like how he looked at her, and as new and amazing it was to us having a kid, it was almost like we were wanting to see how that would take off right away. And it did. I mean, he's an incredible big brother to her. And then as far as our littlest Colston, I mean, it's just the bond that they have is one that I never would have imagined would have developed. I mean, it is incredible to see the 2 of them, and 3 of them at times when they decide they want to get along. But like, to see Titan take Colston in as his littlest brother, want to do everything, because to Colston, Titan is the coolest person in the world. And I think Titan knows that, and he really appreciates it, and he doesn't want that to change. So he gives him a lot of attention that he needs. And Berkeley, Ty and her had that relationship early on. And then I would say once Colston was born, then they both kind of just gradually, it wasn't Titan and Berkeley were having a, separation or anything, but they both were big brothers and sisters to Colston. So there wasn't much Titan and Berkeley, social stuff going on between them, because they tend to take the older sibling route and help with Colston. But what has been really cool is now we see Titan and Berkeley they're kind of in the same timeline, 3 years difference. So 16 and 13, where she's kind of cool enough now to be hanging with him. And then every time he lets her do something with him, you can just tell she lights up, because she knows she's getting to do something with a 16-year-old or her big brother. So there was kind of, I feel like, a lull in the middle just because we had Colston and they're, you know, I don't want to say they were forgotten by any means, but there's a lot going on with him and they were helping out. And there wasn't a whole lot of time for their relationship to grow. But now that they're a little older, Colson's progressing to a little bit more independence and not needing as much of them to help him. They are doing really cool things together, tied in Berkeley there. And she's eating it up because she gets to feel like she's part of the big, cool crew.
And she's cool.
She is cool.
She's cool, man. Yeah, she's cool. We, a couple months ago, maybe now a month ago, Indy 500, she was tasked with watching all of the little babies.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were hanging around for the first couple hours of that and to watch her and her friend basically babysit, even though one was her brother, but babysit the kids. It was so cool for me to just sit back and watch. Yeah. She did incredibly well. And there were multiple times throughout that event that I remember thinking, I just need to text Jackie and CG and let them know that she's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
I mean, she is
great. She is a good girl. Couldn't be more proud of her either. She's not sure, she may have 1 A- this year, the whole year, like average student myself, but she's puts her time in at school. She's doing great in cheerleading and track as well. Gymnastics she did forever, but she's brought those skills over to the cheerleading side of it, and their tumbling is outstanding, and she is really soaring right now. So we're proud of her.
We obviously hope that our kids learn a ton from us. That is our role, to be able to guide them through this life in which we have a little bit of experience with and help them, like we talked about a little earlier, get up when they fall down and learn from mistakes they've made. But I'm interested in what you have learned from them, because we, of course, want them to learn everything from us. But is there anything that sticks out, that having the kids in the ages and 2 boys and a girl, is there anything that sticks out to you that you have learned and become better because they've been able to open your eyes and teach you things?
Yeah, think through that one. I mean, just the patience part of it. I mean, having 3 of them, just learning to be more patient. Jackie does a much better job, which is why she's a school counselor, at staying patient and calm through situations. I tend to jump to the far end of the spectrum there very quickly. So that's one thing that I know that I need to learn from them, is to just, not jump to conclusions. And, like you said earlier, like, they're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are prone to happen. We learn and we move on. So I would say just keeping myself more neutral when situations arise. That was something that I've taken from them.
Yeah. And that's been on my mind recently. I, as of a week ago, we co-sleep. So basically August sleeps with Danielle, has since maybe she was 3 or 4 months old, which is an incredibly heavy lift for my wife. But I've just been able to see the relationship they've built as mother and daughter when they go to sleep every night. And when August needs Dan, she can just turn and she's right there. And it's been just an amazing thing to watch. And you had mentioned earlier, what can we do as dads? Situations that we're in, and we think, there's nothing I can do in this situation. And Dan went back to work consistently through the summer, and it's right at the time of her taking her nap. And so we had to figure out basically on the fly, if August was going to be able to nap with me, or if she's only able to fall asleep with Mom. Dan, yeah. And it didn't take a long time, but after about a week of doing it, our daughter is now able to kind of crawl up in bed with me and lay down and fall asleep, and no tears, no issues, no problems. Yeah. And it's the hour of the day, or the probably hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, where I can actually shut my brain off from everything that else is going on, which is funny, because originally I thought, I'm going to get all this work done. I'll be sitting there, I'll be on my phone, she'll be asleep, it's all good. And it's been that those times have been so special to me, and I've just been meditating on this thought. And so I had this thought, and I had a post that I put out the other day that I said, times that she'll never remember, I will never forget.
Yeah.
And
that's heavy.
She has just taught me to be there and present. Yeah. And in the moment, because we always want to think about what's in the future, next track season, or Ty and I are going to concert tonight. What's the concert going to look like? Which I'm so stoked about that we have the opportunity to do. But I'm just thinking about all those times where I could say in 10 years, hey, remember when we went to the zoo? When you were a year and a half? Yeah. She's like, Dad, I don't remember any of that stuff, But I have these memories just like burned into my heart. Yeah. And she's taught me so much in such a short amount of time. And it's just cool to ask you that, because you have seen so many different phases and so many different times and so many different things and just been exposed to that over and over. And I can only imagine the amount of change that it has on us as our kids grow up.
Yeah.
And
No, for
we have
sure.
those experiences with them.
Yeah, no, you're going to find out that is going to continue, and those memories are going to keep building. And that's one nice thing about technology is that every day I have stuff pop up that's memories from 16 years ago. We don't like technology for a lot of things because we know it can ruin a lot of things, but it's pretty damn cool too when you get to see stuff that you remember, but you wouldn't have unless it popped up, and it seems to pop up when you really need it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need a little lift or a boost, and you get a message that here's memories from 10 years ago, and you're, first time riding a bike down the street.
Yeah.
Just, it's cool. It's really
and
cool.
I remember thinking when Ty was born, this is when we were growing up, we have Polaroid pictures. We had the disposable pictures that we could cameras that we could take in. But your wife would send me pictures in real time of my 2, 3, 4-month-old nephew. And I remember thinking, how insane is this? That I'll get to show him these and he'll get to see these in 16 years. Yeah. And Colston will have 4K videos of him running around and laughing as a baby. And I mean, it's such a cool time. And obviously, like you said, tons of fear around it. But when you're willing to accept it and take the good things and see the amazing things that come with it. I mean, I think it's a good reframe to be able to do that. And the same thing with August, we'll be able to watch things in HD, 1080p, 4K of her as the day she was born. Yeah. All the way up until, whenever it is we're looking at it. And so I think
and Colston gets a really big kick out of when he sees videos of Titan when he was Colston's age.
I bet that's unbelievable.
We'll bring up even just a picture and say, do you know who this is? And he'll say, is that me? No, it's Titan. That's your big brother. Like, 'cause I mean, you can tell they're in the same family, but they don't look identical, but just his thought of like, oh, it's my age and I'm seeing this now and you're showing me, it must be someone from it must be me. Yeah. And then he sees Titan, do the videos from years and years ago and cracks him up. So,
and I still have some saved. I pretty often every 6 months or so, I'll back all my old cameras, all my old pictures and videos up onto an external hard drive.
Yeah.
But there are some videos that I save because, like you said, when I need, I can go back to.
Sure.
And I've got videos of all the kids on my phone from years ago that I just can't put away yet on the external hard drive because, I want the videos of Berkeley and Ty wishing me good luck 10 years ago when I was playing overseas in China.
Yeah.
And I can just like laugh at those and think like these kids are people now.
Yeah.
But back then it was just sending a video overseas again in real time. And that stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
And so I love that we have access to be able to do that. Couple more for you here.
Yeah.
So what's something just about life, about the world, about our current existence that you wish you'd be able to explain to your kids? And this might be similar to the failure question, right? It's like, failure is good. We want you to fail. We want you to not have success in certain things. So you can check that box and say, okay, that was good. Let's move forward. Let's learn from that. I think about it when it comes to the relationship things. I remember when I was Ty's age and got dumped, broken up with for the first time, and I was crushed. And I remember thinking, I wish somebody came to me and said, "This doesn't matter."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not even going to think about this person moving forward. Yeah. But it's so hard in the moment to be able to understand that it's not important, and we're just going to learn from it. Are there certain things or one thing about the world you wish you could tell your kids that would help them through tough times?
I mean, I just go back to the easiest thing ever, and it's just be a good person.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, and I'm really proud of how they hold themselves when they're out in public and manners and this and that, but just be nice. Like, you're gonna come across situations where you don't want to be, and it's going to be really hard to be nice. But at the end of the day, I've never, had a problem of being too nice. Like, you just be a good person. Good things are going to happen to you. So I think they're all three. Well, Titan obviously is being older. I mean, he's well in his way, is the way he holds himself around other people, and he's headed in the right direction with that. But, I think that's just the easiest advice for anybody. I mean, the world is a wild place right now, and the one thing we can do is just be nice. Like, you don't have to agree with everything. You can have your own beliefs, but at the end of the day, you can just, put that aside and just be happy. So that's probably the easiest thing, best thing I would tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always said when talking about my parents, I mean, I think one of the biggest things and the most helpful skills that they've taught me is just that they have always been so kind in every scenario. I don't have any memories of them being rude to somebody or mean to somebody or say something. And Dad might say things, you know, kind of like off the cuff that are funny that he thinks are, you know, comedy, and that might come off to people that he's being disrespectful, but he's not. He's just, that's like his style of comedy.
Sure.
But he's always so kind, and so that's something that I think my wife and I are always trying to do with Augie, is just have her, like you said, approach the world where, and my wife is incredible at this, having a social work background, but just understanding that everybody's in a different spot. You never know where you're going to run into them or where you're going to meet them, but you can at least be kind.
Yeah.
And you know that you can kind of put them in hopefully the experience with your kids when they talk to other people leaves them feeling better than they did, you know, when they first arrived in that situation.
Yeah.
Two more. So this is being recorded in 2026. We've talked about how cool technology is. And the reason a year ago I started this podcast solo was because I wanted to have almost like a video library of me talking to our daughter. So in 10, 15, 20 years, whenever it is that she's searching YouTube or whatever it is, the website that all these videos are housed in at that time like that I want her to be able to look back and hear me talking to her and hear me talking about her and the things that her mom and I are going through at this time. And I want you to think about it in 25 years when the kids, as hard as this is to even wrap your mind around, but they have their own families.
Yeah.
And they're not living upstairs.
Right.
And Colson's not running around hammering you know what I mean, the ceiling here in the basement.
Yep.
And, you know, they're not waking you guys up in the middle of the night when there's a thunderstorm and they jump into your bed. Right? Like in 25 years when they get this and they're watching you talk about them in this time, what is it that you hope they remember about this specific time in their lives and about how you were at this time?
Right. I mean, I hope they're able to know that the times that we were so hard on them, there was a reason for that. There was, you know, we did the best we possibly could. You know, we live in an area where we see people have a lot more things than we do. Bigger this, bigger that, more this, more that. I want them to know that everything that we had and we've done for them has been the best that we can do. Anytime we've said no, it had to be said. You know, like that sounds like the worst word ever. But like Colson right now, like he will ask questions in advance, or when he asks them, he knows the answer is going to be no. And I just want them to, anytime he starts a question, I'm like, I don't want to say no. Stop. Don't ask it again. You know, like, so all the no's that they get, all the things that they don't want to hear when they're older and they have their own families and their kids, good Lord. And like, just thinking back to how they were raised, because, you know, Titan, for example, he knows that his mom is a counselor. So anytime she gives him a lecture on screen time or the data, the facts, it comes out as you're just a school counselor. You have to say those things. So like when they are older, knowing that we just wanted the best for them. We weren't never trying to make their life miserable, even though it comes off that way at times. But we generally are doing what we can do to put them in a spot to be most successful as they get older and have their own family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you hope they say about you at that time?
My dad was awesome. You know, like that would be a pretty cool thing to hear. My dad took really good care of us. My dad gave me some really great advice about this, you know, when they have kids, and they can say, oh, I know my dad taught me this when I was young, and I can show you, and then kind of passing that on to new generations, but just being, you know, happy with how we raised them.
Yeah.
So
last one.
Yeah.
When we found out Danielle was pregnant with our daughter, we were talking about who we were kind of most excited to share that information with. And I remember thinking, kind of going through everybody and how excited I was for everybody to find out, but then specifically thinking how excited I was to tell my dad.
Yeah.
Because he's been such a hero and an inspiration to me. And the reason that I am in fitness as a 39-year-old that the reason why it's my profession is because he started training me in the basement when I was 13.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of looked for him and his acceptance when I've done things. Excuse me. I got a scholarship to play college football. I can't wait to tell my dad. My first interception on ESPN, against Iowa in 2009. I run off the field. I'm looking for him. I make direct eye contact with my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have such great memories of those moments because I just always wanted to impress him and I wanted to be proud of me. And I knew he always wanted me to be a father. And there was a long time in my life that I did not want to be. I just had other things that I wanted to pursue and I wasn't interested in doing that. It seems too hard. I want to be in control of me and what I do. And it was, whether it was selfish or whether it was just a lack of information and knowledge, it could have been a mixture of both. But I remember when Danielle was pregnant thinking like, oh, I can't wait to tell my dad. And so we told you guys all here, just 15 feet away from where we were, and it was a very exciting moment. Then did our gender reveal, and that was great. And so I got to interview my dad on this same podcast maybe a year ago, and I asked him, now father to father, did I make you proud? And I want to know if you could ask your dad today if you would think that you made him proud.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Boy, I'd love to ask him that.
Yeah. I didn't even mean to bring this up. This is naturally felt like I just was compelled to ask the question.
My dad and I were really close growing up. Obviously things took a turn. Parents didn't stay together. I lived with him for a while, and that was probably most him and I ever got to be father and son, living just by ourselves. My sister was living with my grandma, my dad's mom at the time. Mom was out in California. So my dad and I just kind of lived together for several years, and that was high school time. So we did a lot of cool things together in that time. And, after that, he always had a dream to move to Florida, got married again, did that. We weren't around each other as much as I wish we were the last several years, but I do know that he was very, very proud every time he saw me with my kids. Whenever that was, whether we visited him in Florida or he came up here, smile on his face when he would see them. At times it would feel like I don't want to say he didn't care, but you could tell when he was there in the moment, it meant everything to him. So I would say that based on when I would see him while our kids were growing up, I could tell he was very proud of how things turned out. He wasn't a vocal, like gonna just say that out loud, but I could tell. My sister would say the same thing. We could tell. So obviously as they get older now, like he's the one they got Ty into fishing, which outside of sports, that's Ty needs us to go somewhere. He's going to go fish.
Yeah.
So he would be extremely proud of that, and knowing that we're giving him kind of opportunity and chance to do whatever he wants to do, not telling him he needs to focus on this or focus on that, but like, you can do it all, man. Just go do it. So yeah, he'd be proud.
Yeah. What's next for you and the Fiesbeck family?
We're just, it's hard to believe our oldest Titan is 2 years away from being out of high school and could be gone.
That's insane.
It's
insane.
So Jackie's very aware of that, and we talking about things, expectations we want from him while he's here, and one day he's not going to be here, and I think he's starting to understand that, like, as much as he says he just wants to get away and be on his own. I think there's times where he knows that he won't always have this. So I think we're going to enjoy the hell out of the next couple years while he's definitely here. And then we'll be right up again. Berkeley will be 16 and she'll be in the same situation. And then Colston will be becoming close to a teenager. And so we're going to do this 2 more times. So like I said earlier, each time hopefully be a little bit better and a little bit more successful, but that's why we learn. So can't wait to see what next year he does with track. I can't wait to see the stuff that Berkeley gets into as she gets closer to high school. And Colston, he's just kind of the wild card right now. We don't know what he wants to do, and that's totally fine, but it's going to be fun watching.
Yeah.
So we are a very stupid blessed family, like as healthy as everybody is, as active as everybody is, as loving as everybody is. I mean, it could not be better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate the kind of path that you've set for myself and our family. You know, outside of my dad, you're the dad who I've seen father the most and the longest. And you guys are doing an amazing job. You're doing an amazing job. I had this vision for the first in-person conversation being you and I. And I was thinking about how I was going to set the gym up and the lighting, and we are going to get everything and the microphones and get it set up. And then it's so cool that it just like ended up being like this. And so I appreciate you sitting down and doing this with me, because I think it's something that a long time from now,
it's going to be really cool.
You know, we're all going to be able to look back on and
for sure
watch and listen and laugh about it. And then again, hopefully, you know, by then your kids have learned these things that you're hoping for, and you get to say, hey, I told you so, you know? And so that'll be really cool to see. So thanks for being on, and thank you for anybody who listened. This has been the Athletic Dad Podcast. CT, your host, along with CG. 3 things that I ask at the end of every episode. It's as important when we started saying it 6 years ago as it is now, but please continue to practice gratitude. Tell the people that you love them, and I love you.
Love you, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Yep.
And we got one life to live, so live it stimulated. We'll see you guys on the next one.